I don't know how this tripod that I'm using was ever originally supposed to hold this ring light on top of this phone because the legs just open completely. Like me when Spencer Reed comes on screen. I cut my hair, obviously. I've wanted to do this hairstyle adjacently since last year. I made a pit crew, little customizable thing. And I did one. I was like, if I like passed as more boyish and stuff, what would I look like? And it was like bangs and like floofy little bang side pieces. And I did cut it in December from when I had it super long to my ass almost. And I basically had those little flicky pieces without meaning to. And I was like, oh, if I just middle part. But I'm still trying to figure out how to get these to look. You can't tell because I live in a black hole. Haircut is also low key giving Hawks from My Hero Academia. His mom. Don't like that. Because I don't like that man's mother. As far as stuff I've gotten into in January, because I want to do these monthly videos, like, oh, what have I gotten into? You know, if my autistic ass can break away from what I just watch on repeat. As far as movies I watched Batman Assault on Arkham. Matthew Gray Gubler voices the Riddler in that. And it's so, listening to him voice the Riddler is so funny because it's obviously just Matthew Gray Gubler's voice. That's all it is. His goofy ass sounding voice as the Riddler. It was good. I like that. It had Quinshot content. That is the movie that had Quinshot content that they took away from me in the OG Suicide Squad movie. They had a kiss in that OG movie. In the Snyder Cut, whatever you call it. I will never forgive them for taking away what they took away from me. I hold that grudge forever. They should have been a canon thing, and now Will Smith is not coming back as Deadshot, so it never will be. But they need to release that footage, or I will. And then I watched Alvin and Chipmunks. I was obviously going through Matthew Ray Gubler's film list thing. I'm like, I haven't watched this in a while. I'm gonna watch it. It is so funny watching that movie with context that's his voice because you listen to it very closely. You can tell it's that certain nerdy tone he uses, just sped up. Movie fucks. Those songs fuck. They would be putting a lot of music people out of business right now if Alvin and Chipmunks were currently. I say currently together as if they were ever actually together and real chipmunks. They could sing. Maybe they are. Maybe we're in a parallel universe where they're not here. I don't know. And I watched Scooby-Doo, Legend of the Phantosaur, because Matthew Gray Gubler voiced a character in it. His character annoyed the fuck out of me. It's just a male Velma. He got typecasted as a nerd again, and it's just male Velma. That annoyed me, but it was one of the better new Scooby-Doo movies I've watched, which I think it's like a decade old at this point. So I don't know if that classifies as new. I'm getting old. I watched Ella Enchanted. I've never watched this. Anne Hathaway is so fucking gorgeous. Hugh Dancy, I am partial to him as Will, and how he only looks that way in Hannibal and nothing else. I'm like, I don't know what they fed him, what the makeup department, I don't know what they did to him on that set, but he has never looked the same, and it's disappointing. But him in this movie, I get it. Him with a sword as a prince. Like, I was twirling my hair. He was fighting those, orcs or trolls in the woods. Like, yes, and also Consent King. I love that about that movie. It's like, he was catching on that he was saying stuff, and she was like, okay, and he's like, are you sure we don't have to do blah 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 blah? That's not like a command, and he like picked up on it pretty easily. That made me tear up, obviously because of events recent of last year. I watched Lime Life that has Roy Culkin and Kieran Culkin. The only movie I believe, no, I know, that has them playing brothers. People in Hollywood need to cast those two playing brothers more. That's my opinion. The movie was very cute though. About Lyme disease related stuff. The ending was fucking crazy though. it, I'm like, now my mind's like trying to scramble together. The movie's wild. It was cute. Wild though. A lot of people say that why is Kieran Culkin always getting punched by his dad in movies and shows? I've not even watched Succession, but I know they're talking about Succession. There's a scene with Emma Roberts and Rory Culkin that was like them both, I believe, having their first time. It was 5 minutes straight long, which I understand. It's like, oh, it's awkward. It's they're figuring out the first time, but it didn't. I did not need to. It did not need to be 5 minutes long. And I finally watched Clue because I was laid up in bed with my wisdom tooth just yanked out. I watched Limelight first, actually, the day after I got it pulled, and then Clue. So I'm like, I want to see what all the bustle is about Clue, because one of my favorite YouTube content creator people, Redacted Audio, is always talking about how much he loves Clue, and I'm like, it seems campy, and it seems like I would be into it, because it's like a whodunit. I don't know, I've actually never really watched any whodunits, I don't think. But anyways, I watched it and I loved it. I get 5 stars, and I'm now so confused about how my favorite movies list is, because I have my top 4, like Letterboxd and everything. I'm like, I've watched so many movies recently, and I'm like, I don't know where everything's falling into place anymore. But that's concerns for a future me. I love the multiple endings thing, and hand up spoilers for Clue if you haven't seen Clue. I almost thought they were not going to have the butler be a murderer. I'm like, they have to. Like, everybody's like, oh, the butler, blah, blah, jokes about it. But yeah, that ending. I also read that there's supposed to be like a 4th ending where he did all the killing. Or I think Tim Curry said there was an extra one like that. They need to release that. I would be interested in that. And him explaining how the hell he did that. I don't know how that would have been possible. And I watched Knives Out right after, because I'm like, similar vibes I'm getting from it. It was a whodunit, like Clue, just the vibes were not the same. But, oh my goodness. What is his name? Banjant? That's not his name. No, that's not his fucking name. Freaking, oh my god. I can't even think of what his name is. Detective guy in that movie. Love it. Love it. I love that movie. It made me so emotional, though. My cat's taking a whiz. I watched Glass Onion that next morning, and I need that 3rd movie out so quick. So quick. Glass Onion was ironic for me to watch at the time, because it was like, oh, man in power gets away with doing shitty thing, but then the person who was oppressed in the situation burns everything down and takes justice into their own hand. And I'm like, fuck yeah. That's a mood. That's a mood. I then watched Paddington. I've been wanting to watch Paddington. I had a game growing up on my PC. There was Paddington. It was like, I guess it was the same premise. He was staying with that family and stuff, and he had a lot of marmalade, and I remember it was like point and click. It was so cute. The movie was so cute too. Even for a kids movie, it was alright. But then again, I also do like kid genre movies, so. And then the last movie I watched, The Devil Wears Prada. I don't know, I did not expect to love this movie as much as I did. I loved it. And it is like, again, it is teetering like, what is my favorite movies list? What is going on with that? I loved it. I loved the cinematics, the aesthetics, or whatever you want to call it, of it. Beautifully done. I could not take my eyes away from the screen for 1 second because I wanted to capture everything in my fucking little eyes and noggin. Loved it so much. I hated that she went back with that fucking boyfriend. Or I don't even know. The ending was ambiguous. It was like, did she go back with that boyfriend? I hope not. Her boyfriend and her friend group were all haters. Like, oh, hey, you're doing good in your job. Blah, 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 blah. I understand wanting to spend time with her, but they were being straight up haters. It wasn't like, hey, can you make more time for us? It was like, oh, I need to do this thing for this important job that, like, I'm raising ranks and blah, 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 and getting good opportunities. They were just being straight up haters. They weren't even concerned about her. They were just being haters. And they should have stayed flops. They're gonna stay flops. TV show-wise, fuck. fuck, what have I been watching TV show wise? It's not just Criminal Minds. Of course, I've finished Criminal Minds all the way through, and then I started watching it again because I'm like, I'm just gonna keep replaying this show in a loop because I love it. But I did finish Chainsaw Man. I finished Chainsaw Man finally because I watched the first 2 episodes like when they were first airing, and then I got like completely distracted, which is unfortunate because I really liked it. I just fell off watching it. I don't know if it's because I already know like what happens in the story. Like I know spoilers and like I've watched analysis videos even because I was like so into the characters and the concept of the story, even though I hadn't finished the anime yet. Some of the pacing was weird for me. It was mostly Aki and what's her name, his like mentor girl. I feel like it was very weird. They kind of just like thrust her in, and then it was like, oh, she like almost has sex with Denji, even though he's a minor and she's an adult. And it's like, oh, then she dies suddenly. Maybe it's because I already had the bias of like, why are you trying to mess with a minor? Maybe that's why I didn't feel super emotional. I felt emotional for Aki's sake, but it was like, kind of like, hey, yeah, here she is. Oh yeah, we have this relation. Oh, now she's dead. Pacing was weird to me. Maybe that's a controversial take. I don't know. I did start watching Two Broke Girls too, because Kat Dennings. I was like, I've been wanting to like dancing around watching that show, and it's weird for me. I have to be in the right mood to watch a new movie or a show because of autism. I'm like, I need to watch something comforting that I know that I want to watch, that I'm actually focused on. But I started watching it, and it's very easy to watch. I like it. It's good, but it's also easy to watch. So I'm very happy. There's like 5-6 seasons of the show. I'm really into it so far. I'm like, I don't know how much into season 1, like maybe halfway. But I really like it. It's cute. Kat Dennings' character, Max, I'm joking with myself by saying she's like my type that needs to be reformed. She's mostly emotionally unavailable and avoidant. I'm like, she is my type that I'm trying to work on not being my type because it is not healthy for me as an individual. My track record with that. Books, because wow, I don't read, but I'm actually consuming audiobooks. I believe this month I finished Losers Part 1 by Harley LaRux. I think that's how you say their name. I love that fucking series. The moment I got The Dare and I listened to it in December, I was sold. Because the way Book Talk talks about like spicy books, I started with Haunting Adeline, the worst book I could have probably picked to start with. And it's not even like, I'm not even super like, oh, the triggers and stuff. It's just the fact that people paint that as romance when the dude straight up essays her is vividly like, she does not want it, and he keeps going with it, and that's why I had to cut that off. Like, I think that was like chapter 16. But The Dare was like a breath of fresh air. It was constant consent check-ins, even though the premise of The Dare was like, this is a bully and a dude that she was bullying in high school, and he still has respect for her. He's not like being a fucking weirdo about it. He's still like, hey, this is your consent word, or if you need to tap to show consent if we're doing this and this. It was beautiful. I try to say amazing and beautiful at the same time. I made a new word for it. But Losers Part 1, oh my god. I'm on Part 2 right now. I love all of those boys. I love their dynamic with Jess. I love how they all have individual pet names for her. I love that there's Jason and Vincent's thing, and then there's Lucas and Manson's thing, and then she has a thing with all of them. And Part 2 is like, I'm so invested. I'm invested in these characters. I've like written like little tiny reviews on them on like my Instagram, like little highlight things. I might like post it here so it's easier. Convenience sake, I love this book so much. The way they go about the topic of BDSM and they touch on actual serious topics of it, and like all the boys are like queer as hell, bisexual and stuff. They talk about their own struggles growing up and like their family dynamics and like Vincent's family taking them in, and it's so, I love it. It's not just like a book without like smut without plot. I care about these boys. I care about Jessica. It's so good. The consent, the way they go about the BDSM topics, they actually go into it, and it's not just like, oh, I'm a dom, like blah blah blah, so I can do whatever I want to, even though I obviously don't know about it. No, these boys are educated in it. They're like, yeah, we went to classes to learn about it and stuff. It's like, I love these boys. I love these books. I don't know if there's gonna be like a part 3 to it. I don't know, but I would not be mad about it unless it like I don't want it to drag on at all. And I haven't even finished part 2, so maybe part 2 like wraps it up with a bow. But I love these boys and these characters. And this is like I'm actually gonna go back in the future. I know, and like re-listen to these, which says a lot. So good. It's so good. Especially like I brought up book talk stuff. A lot of them seem to love books that just have straight up non-con in it, which people can read whatever they want and stuff. But it's just nice to have actual like spicy type of like books that's like edgy, but it's not straight up. Here's assault. Let's call it romance. People can read what they want again. Fantasy, they're coping things. I don't know. It's like a 3-part series that's like about a demon, a sex demon, which I will love. I hope I will love it. Just little things I've heard about it. I hope it is written with as well concepts of spicy subjects like the losers or losers. I don't know why I keep wanting to call it the losers. It's just losers. But anyways, yeah. So I've also been recording stuff from my gaming channel because I'm going to revive that. I used to post on that for anybody who doesn't know, and then I wiped them clean because I did not like any of the videos. The audio was shit. I just didn't like it. Finding time to do that is something. But we're gonna try boys, girls, and otherwise. So yeah, that's all I'd say. I don't know what to promote here, but my gaming channel. Also follow my Instagram, my Twitter, or my not safe for work Twitter if you're a fucking freak.